morning, everyone. Welcome to Ridgetop Yoga Retreat. If you're just joining in, just get into a comfortable seated position and we'll get started in a few minutes. You may want to have a chair close by for our balancing poses if you don't have a wall close by. And also you might want to have a bottle of water during practice. So just get into a comfortable seated position and gently rest your hands on your lap and just begin to calm your mind and relax your body, bringing your focus to your breath, inhaling and exhaling. If you're seated in easy seat, you can place a blanket under your hips to lift your hips up, to open them, and it's a little easier on your knees if you're seated on a blanket, or you can be on a block if you're having a hard time just sitting on the directly on the mat. It's a little chilly out here in West Jefferson this morning, so hopefully it warms up during practice. So just get into a comfortable seated position. Ground down through your sit bones, lengthen your spine. Bring your shoulders forward and really bring those shoulder blades back and down. And just relax the shoulders. And just bring a slight tilt to your neck, bringing your chin to your chest. Breathing in and out through your nose. Remember, this is your practice, so if a pose doesn't feel right, just come out of the pose and wait for the next one. We'll begin our class this morning. Thank you everyone for joining in. Today's class is an hour practice, and it's a little more advanced. We'll be going at a faster pace today. We'll be working on hip openers. So just gently close your eyes and bring your focus to your breath. Take a deep inhale in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your mouth. Take a deep inhale in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your mouth. And last one, take a deep inhale in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your mouth. And now go back to your regular breath, inhaling and exhaling through your nose, and just gently bring your chin to your chest. Feeling the stretch in the back of the neck, lengthening the neck. Take a few deep breaths here. And then on your next inhale, slowly draw a line with your nose up towards the sky. Being careful of the back of the neck. Take a few deep breaths here, slightly opening your mouth, feeling the stretch in the throat. And then exhale, gently bring your chin to chest. Inhale, draw a line with your nose up towards the sky. And exhale, chin to chest. Match your breath with your movement. Inhaling and exhaling. And then next time your chin's to chest, leave it there. And on your next inhale, just roll your left ear towards left shoulder. And exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. And then on your next inhale, roll your right ear towards right shoulder. And exhale, chin to chest. Inhale and exhale. And then on your next inhale, make a complete circle, inhaling on the way up and exhaling forward and down. Match your breath to your movement. And then we'll do 2 rounds in the opposite direction and meet back in neutral spine. And inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Lengthening the spine, and exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead, pressing down through your sit bones, lengthening the spine, reaching out through your fingertips. Bring your palms together, exhale, bring your hands to heart center. One more inhale, reach up, and exhale, bring your hands to heart center. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice today, you can do it now. And give yourself this hour, this time for you, to be in the present moment. Inhale, reach up, and turn your palms facing out, and exhale, slowly release your hands down to the mat. If you're sitting on a block or on a blanket, you can take it out now and just place it to the side. We're going to go into a wide-legged seated position. So you can have a slight bending your knees here. Ground down through your sit bones, lengthen your spine. And we're just going to turn towards our left leg. Frame your left leg with your hands. Ground down through your sit bones, lengthen your spine. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just begin to walk your hands forward. Keeping that right sit bone grounded. Keeping a flat back as long as you can. Take a deep inhale in, and exhale, begin to forward fold. Now keep a slight bend in that left knee. each inhale, you can come up a little bit, and on the exhale, begin to fold. Then slowly walk your hands back to center. Come to center, take a deep inhale. On the exhale, begin to walk your hands forward, forward fold. Each inhale, come up a little bit, and on the exhale, begin to fold. Slowly walk your hands back to center and turn towards that right leg, framing your right leg. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just begin to walk your hands forward or forward fold. Inhale and exhale. Really trying to lengthen the spine here, keeping that left sit bone grounded. Slowly walk your hands back to center and bring your solely your right foot into that left calf or left thigh. Take a deep inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and on the exhale, bring your left forearm down to your calf, and that right arm towards your left foot. Keep that right sit bone grounded. Feel the stretch in that right hip. Take a few deep breaths here. Really lengthening, reaching out through that right hand. You can have a slight bend in that left elbow. Then inhale, using your core, come back up to center, and exhale, slowly release your hands by your side. Extend that right leg out to the side. Bring the sole of your left foot into that right thigh. Keeping that left hip open. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. On the exhale, bring that right hand towards your right foot, left arm over that left ear. Keeping the left sit bone grounded, keeping that left hip open. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, using your core, come back up to center, and exhale, slowly release your hands by your side. Now we're going to extend our legs out in front of us for staff pose. Slight bend in the knees. Ground down through your sit bones, lengthen your spine. Keep the palms of your hands flat on the mat. Feet are flexed, everything's engaged here. Pressing your palms into the mat, grounding down through your sit bones, lengthening your spine, reaching out through the crown of your head. And exhale, release, relax everything. Take a deep inhale. And on the exhale, walk your hands forward for forward fold. Trying to release the tension in that low back. Inhale, come up a little bit, and exhale, fold. Slowly walk your hands back to center. Bring the soles of your feet together for bound angle pose. Roll out your arches. Bring your feet as close to your body as you can. If it's uncomfortable on your knees, you can bring them out a little further from your body. And just gently butterfly your knees out to the sides. Opening the hips. Warming up the hips. And then bring your legs to stillness. Place your hands on your ankles or on your feet. Take a deep inhale, lengthen your spine. And on the exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Keep lengthening your spine. And if you can get halfway, stop there. Engage your core, pull your belly button in. You're going to feel the stretch in the inner thighs. Then slowly roll back up to center. Bring your knees in. And we're going to go onto all fours for tabletop. So make sure your shoulders are over your wrists, your hips are over your knees. You're pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. We're going to do a few rounds of cat-cow to warm up the spine to get the fluid moving. So on the inhale, drop your belly, take your gaze up, really arch your back. And on the exhale, tuck your chin and round your spine. You're creating space between you and the mat. Inhale, drop your belly, take your gaze up. On the exhale, tuck your chin and round your spine. Match your breath to your movement, inhaling and exhaling. Then we'll come back to neutral spine. And we're just going to extend that right foot back, going on to the ball of your foot. And just gently rock back and forth, loosening up the calf. Now come to stillness. Engage your core. Raise that right leg level with that right hip. Don't lift that right hip. Still have your hips squared to the mat. You're pressing through the heel of that right foot. Engage your core. You can stay here or extend that left arm out in front of you. Working on balance, engaging your core here. Pressing the top of that left foot into the mat. If you want to add on from here, your gaze is down, your head is level with that left arm. If you want to add on the exhale, round your spine and bring your elbow to knee. So you're inhaling and lengthening, and exhale, elbow to knee. So now your toes are pointed if you're bringing the elbow to knee. You're lengthening, rounding the spine, creating space. And then bring your hand down to the mat, your knee back down, roll out that right wrist. And then inhale, extend that left foot back, going on to the ball of the foot. And just gently rock back and forth, loosening up the ankle, the calf. Toes should be spread. And then come to stillness. Raise that left leg level with that left hip. Pressing the right foot into the mat. Your foot is flexed, your legs engaged. Engage your core, and then extend your right arm out in front of you. Thumb facing the sky. You can work on balance here, or if you want to add on the exhale, round your spine and bring your elbow to knee. So you're inhaling and lengthening, and exhale, elbow to knee. Do what feels right for you today. You can just work on balance. Make sure you're engaging your core. Then bring your hand back down to the mat, your knee back down, roll out that left wrist. We're going to go into child's pose. So cross your big toes, and then your knees are wider than hip distance apart. Shift your hips back and bring your torso down between your knees. Bringing your forehead down to the mat, your arms are out in front of you. If that's uncomfortable, you can have your arms behind you. Take a few deep breaths here. And we're going to come back into tabletop. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrist, hips are over your knees. Now we're going to go into a little dynamic movement here. So we're going to go onto our toes and just let your knees hover over the mat about 6 inches. You're engaging your core here, working on strengthening your arms here. And then we're just going to lift our right foot and place it down, and lift our left and place it down. Just gentle movement, lifting, really engaging the thighs here. And then keeping both feet on the mat. You're on the ball of your feet. Slowly shift your hips back, and we're going to go into our first downward facing dog. So you can have a slight bend in your knees, hips are high, you can pedal out your feet, go high up on your toes, sink your heels. Inhale, look up between your hands, and on the exhale, walk or step forward to a forward fold. So it's the first standing forward fold. Slight bend in the knees will help you get deeper into the fold. You can hold opposite elbow to opposite hand, sway from side to side. Then release your hands. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. We'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana and mountain pose. So make sure your weight's evenly distributed on both feet. Palms are facing forward, your feet are hip distance apart, palms facing forward, shoulder blades back and down. Your eyes can be opened or closed. You can take a break whenever you want. If you want to get a drink of water. Just bring your focus to your breath. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. So your hands are on your calves or on your thighs with your elbows bent if they're on the thighs, or on your calves. Whatever gives you that flat back from your low back to the crown of your head. Take a few deep breaths here. Lengthening the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. Now, today for our sun salutations, normally we bring our chin and chest down between our hands and come up for cobra. But today, if you want to increase your practice a bit, we're going to go into chaturanga, into upward facing dog. So it's a lot of arm strength for that, but I'm going to say we'll flow through. So whichever sequence you want to do, you can modify it for your practice. But for the chaturanga, when you're in plank, instead of coming all the way down to the mat, for chaturanga, you want to bend the elbows, and you almost want to be parallel with the mat. You're bending your elbows, coming forward, pushing off your toes, shifting forward, then flipping your toes back, and your gaze is forward for upward facing dog. So for upward facing dog, the only thing touching is the top of your feet and the palms of your hands. Your legs are engaged, and just be careful of your low back here. And then when I say exhale back down to the mat, you're just going to flip your toes and push back to downward facing dog. So whichever you want to do is fine. So we'll start, come to the front of your mat. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plank. Plank your hands, step back to plank. Engage your core. You can come to your knees if you want. Now we're going to flow through. So if you're doing chaturanga to upward facing dog, slowly bend your elbows, come forward, flip your toes, take your gaze forward for upward facing dog. Lengthening the front, your core, lifting your chest, flip your toes, and push back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. So you can alternate too, doing going down chin and chest into cobra one time, and then another time doing chaturanga into upward facing dog. So whatever feels best for you, just do that. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plank. Plank your hands, step back to plank, engage your core. Now we're going to flow through, coming down, shifting forward, flipping the toes, taking the gaze up, taking your gaze forward, flip your toes, push back to downward facing dog. Hips are high, pressing the chest towards your thighs. Seeing if you can sink your heels down a little more. Inhale, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plank. Plant your hands, step back to plank. Engage your core, pull your belly button in. And we're going to flow through. Flip your toes, or if you're in cobra, your gaze is forward, your shoulders are back and down, pressing your palms into the mat for upward facing dog or cobra. Take a few deep breaths here, and then we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, reach that right foot up and back for three-legged dog. On the exhale, bring that right knee towards your chest. Shift your weight forward. Then place your foot between your hands. So however you get it, you can walk that foot up between your hands. Slide that left foot back for runner's lunge. So your right knee is directly over your right ankle, and you're pressing through the ball of that left foot. Your gaze is forward, and your hands are framing that front foot. Take a few deep breaths here. Drop your back knee, flip your back toes, and we're going to come up to low lunge. So bring your hands to that right knee. Then bring your arms to goal post, opening the heart. And then raise your arms up to the sky for low lunge. You're not directly on the top of that left knee. Your hips are pressed forward. Take a few deep breaths here. Then you bring your hands down to frame that front foot. Flip your back toes, lift your back knee, and we're gonna go back into downward facing dog. So bring that front foot back to meet your back foot, and we'll take a few deep breaths in downward facing dog. Then inhale, lift that left foot up and back for three-legged dog. Make sure your hip doesn't open. You're facing the mat. Then bring that left knee in towards your chest. Shift your weight forward. And see if you can bring that left foot between your hands. You can walk or step that left foot forward. Slide your right foot back. Going into runner's lunge. Keeping that back knee lifted, pressing through the ball of that back foot. Left knee is stacked over left ankle. Take a few deep breaths here. Then drop the back knee, flip the back toes. Bring your hands up to that left thigh. Shift your hips forward. Make sure your left knee stacked over your left ankle. Bring your arms to goal post, and then raise them up towards the sky for low lunge. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your hands down to frame that front foot. Flip your back toes, lift that back knee, and we're going to step back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, look up between your hands. Exhale, walk or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, slowly come up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, release. We'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana, mountain pose. Eyes can be opened or closed. We're going to come to the front of our mat, and we're just going to step forward with that right foot, going on to the ball of the foot for high lunge. Put a bend in that front knee, hips are forward. The wider the stance, the easier it is to balance. And then when you find balance, extend your arms out for goal post, lifting the heart, and then raise them up towards the sky. Turn this way. Here comes the sun. Feels good. Keeping that balance. Then bring your hands to heart center. And we're going to drop that back foot down so it's parallel with the back of the mat. We're going to go into warrior two. So you want the arch of your back foot in alignment with your front heel. Your toes are facing the front of the mat. Your knee is slightly towards your left so you can see your big toe. Your hips are facing the long side of the mat. Then when you're ready, extend your arms out to the side. Level with your shoulders, shoulder blades back and down. And take your gaze over your left fingers. Take a few deep breaths here. Then drop that right arm down. Flip your front palm up and raise that left arm up towards the sky. Take a few deep breaths here. Reverse warrior. Strong warrior, still have a bend in that front knee. Now we're going to bring that left forearm to that left thigh and raise that right arm up and over that right ear. You should have a straight line from your right foot to your right fingertips. Back to warrior two, and we're just going to pivot on that back foot, turning forward into a high lunge again, bringing your hands to heart center. See if you can get a little bit deeper into that high lunge, and then step forward to Tadasana, to mountain pose. Take a few deep breaths here. Other side, place your hands on your hips, step that left foot back, going on to the ball of that foot. Put a bend in that front knee, your hips are forward. Bring your arms to goal post, and then raise them up towards the sky. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your hands to heart center, and we're going to drop that back foot, that left foot, down parallel with the back of the mat. Keep a bend in that front knee. Turn your hips towards the long side of the mat, and then extend your arms out for warrior two, making sure your hips are facing the long side of the mat. Checking in, making sure you can see your big toe. Make sure your back arm is level with your front arm. Then flip your front palm up, drop your back arm down, and raise that right arm up towards the sky for reverse warrior. Take a few deep breaths here. Then bring that right forearm to that right thigh, left arm over the left ear for side angle. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale back to warrior two. Bring your hands to heart center. Pivot on that back foot for high lunge. See if you can get a little bit deeper into that high lunge. And step forward to Tadasana, to mountain pose. We'll take a few deep breaths here. It's very windy today. Now we're going to go into a balancing pose. So we're going to do dancer pose. If you don't have a wall close by, you might want to get a chair for this. Just something to hold on to. So I'm going to turn it this way. Now find your drishti, find your stationary point out in front of you to focus on. And then bring your hands onto your hips and ground down through all four corners of your feet. Make sure your weight is evenly distributed on both feet. You know what, you might be able to see it better this way. So we're going to start with our left. So if you have the chair, place your right hand on the chair and just bring your left foot into that left hand. You're pressing your foot into the palm of your hand. And the goal for dancer pose is to come forward and get that thigh level with the mat, parallel with the mat. So you're leaning forward. And if you're comfortable here, try to really press that leg out. Engaging the standing leg, you're engaging, pulling that kneecap up of your standing leg, making it strong. So if you're comfortable there, you might want the chair on the side. It's a little easier. If you're comfortable there, you might want to try to extend your arm out in front of you for dancer pose. You're focusing on that stationary point out in front of you. And you're pressing into your hand. You're trying to get parallel with the mat. Slight bend in the standing knee might help. If you come out of it, you can come right back into it. This is, so you're on the standing leg. You can stay right here and have that left foot in your left hand. And then just work on hinging forward. And then maybe extending your arm out so it's parallel with the mat. But if you have a chair or a wall close by, it's a little easier. But wherever you're at, focus on your stationary point. Make sure you're grounded down through all four corners of that standing foot. Focus on your stationary point, and then begin to hinge from your hips forward, pressing your foot into that hand. And each side is different for dancer pose. This is a tough one. And then bring your your arm back down, your leg back down, and shake it out. We'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana and mountain pose. And some days your balance is there, some days it's not. So each side is different. So we'll try it on the other side. So find your stationary point, hands on the hips. Shift your weight into that left standing leg. You can hold on to the chair with the left arm. Bring that right foot into the palm of your right hand. You can hold on to the chair and just work on bringing that thigh parallel with the mat, working on the standing leg. Or you can bring that left arm and slowly bring that leg back. Wherever you're at is fine. You can stay right here and not go forward, and just work on balance here. Holding on to the chair, then taking your hand off. And then when you're comfortable like that, you can slowly begin to press that foot into that hand and raise that arm up. My balance is off today, so find that focus point, regroup. Pressing the foot into the hand helps counterbalance. And then come out of it. Balancing poses are really good to do. You can put your chair away. A few deep breaths in Tadasana and mountain pose. But if you're just, at a counter or standing in the kitchen and you want to work on balance, maybe just lifting, it's really good to practice the balance. So we'll take a few deep breaths in Tadasana. We're going to go down to the mat, and we'll get there through squat. So bring your feet about hip distance apart. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just begin to bend your knees. Your toes can be slightly pointed out. And just stop when your heels begin to lift off the mat. If you get all the way down into squat, you can place your elbows in the insides of your knees. And take a few deep breaths here. Then bring your hands down to the mat. Come to seated staff pose. So your legs are out in front of you, slight bending your knees. Ground down through your sit bones. Take a deep inhale, lengthen your spine. And on the exhale, just begin to walk your hands forward for forward fold. See if it's a little different than the beginning of practice. Breathing into that low back. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just begin to fold. Slowly walk your hands back to center and bring that right knee in towards your chest. You can leave it here, or to get more of a stretch in that right hip, cross it over that straight leg. Wrap your left arm around that right knee, hug it in towards your chest. Bring your right hand behind your right glute. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, twist looking over your right shoulder. Take a few deep breaths here. Release the twist, come back to center. Straighten that right leg out. Bring that left knee in towards your chest. You can leave it here or cross it over that straight leg. Wrap your right arm around that knee, hug it in towards your chest. Place your left hand behind your left glute. Take a deep inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, twist looking over your left shoulder. Take a few deep breaths here. Release the twist, come back to center, release your leg. We're going to come down to the mat and hug our knees into our chest and rock from side to side. And place your feet flat on the mat, hip distance apart. Get your heels as close to your glutes as you can. And we're going to go into bridge pose. So tuck your shoulder blades under. Palms of your hands are flat on the mat. Keeping your knees forward so they don't fall out to the sides of the mat. You can place a block between your knees if that helps you keep them forward. And we're going to take an inhale and begin to lift your hips up towards the sky. Squeezing your glutes, lifting those hips, pressing your shoulder blades into the mat. See if you can walk your feet towards your shoulders a little more. Tuck your shoulder blades under. You can interlace your fingers behind your back. You can go up on your toes and really squeezing your glutes here. Then release your hands, come back to the soles of your feet, and slowly lower back down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. And place your feet hip distance apart on the mat. And just gently place your hands behind your head. And we're going to alternate elbows to knees. So we're using our core here. We're using our core to lift. It's a gentle lift. You're not pulling on the neck. And your lower back stays on the mat. There should be no stress on the neck or on the back. So we're just going to bring our right elbow across our body and raise our left knee. And then place it back on the mat. Bring your left elbow to right knee. And then place your foot and elbow back on the mat. Just alternating legs, alternating knees, using your core, working those obliques. A strong core will help with low back problems. If you have neck problems, then don't lift, don't do this. Just go focus on your breath. But this is great to strengthen the core, to help for low back pain, no stress on the neck. You're using your core to lift. And then we'll release everything back to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. Now we're just going to take our legs and extend them up towards the sky. And just point and flex the feet. Now, keeping your feet flexed, gently just lift your shoulders and head off the mat and reach your hands towards your feet. You're not going to reach your feet, but it's just gentle lifting. Using your core. And then slowly lower back down to the mat. Bring your feet flat on the mat, hip distance apart. Bring your right ankle over your left knee. Extend your arms out to the sides. And take a deep inhale. And on the exhale, just slowly roll onto that left hip, bringing your right foot down to the mat. Take your gaze over your right fingertips. Keeping your shoulder blades flat on the mat. Then come back up to center. Bring that right foot down to the mat. Cross your left ankle over that right knee. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, slowly roll on to that right hip, bringing your left foot down to the mat. Take your gaze over your left fingertips. Take a few deep breaths here. Roll back up to center, release your foot back down to the mat, your hands by your side. Hug your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. Slowly extend your feet back up towards the sky. Palms flat on the mat, flex your feet. Inversions are so good to do every day. If you have shoulders standing your practice, you can do that now. Bending your knees, rolling up, support your low back. Extend those feet up towards the sky. And if you're in shoulder stands, do not turn your neck. Be careful of your neck. And you can bring your toes back for plow, going onto your ball of your feet, pressing the palms of your hands into the mat. The kneecaps. Then place your hands on your low back to support your back. Bend your knees and slowly roll back down to the mat. Hugging your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. Then we'll go into happy baby, so your soles of your feet are facing the sky. Your hands are on the outsides of your feet or your big toes. Pressing into your hands, knees are bent. Soles of your feet are facing the sky. You can rock from side to side. Hug your knees into your chest, and we'll get ready for Shavasana. So for Shavasana, you can have the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out to the sides for bound angle. recline bound angle pose, or you can extend your feet long on the mat. Let your toes fall out to the corners of the mat, palms facing up, shoulder blades tucked under, and just gently bring your focus to your breath. Closing your eyes. Feeling your belly rise and fall on the inhale and exhale. Relaxing your forehead. Relax your eyes. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax your shoulders, your upper arms, your forearms, all the way to the tips of your toes or fingers. Relax your chest, your abdomen, your hips. Relax the front of your thighs, your knees, your shins. Relax your ankles, the tops of your feet, all the way to the tips of your toes. Relax the soles of your feet, the backs of your calves, the backs of your thighs. Relax your low back, mid back, and upper back. Relax the back of your shoulders, the back of your neck, all the way to the crown of your head. Continue your breath past the crown of your head, all the way past the tips of your toes. A continuous flow of air. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes and move your head from side to side. And when you're ready, roll on to your favorite side. With your eyes closed, come up to seated position. Hands at heart center, thumbs at your sternum. A slight bow to your head. Every day you step onto your mat, it's a new day, a new start, a new beginning. Thank you for sharing your journey with me today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining in the class today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.